Hello, my ladies of inestimable value. The most offensive thing a woman can ever do is live on her own terms. Think about it. History hasn't punished women for being weak, it's punished them for being uncontrollable. Studies in social psychology even show that people rate independent, non-conforming women as less likable, no matter how competent they are. Translation? A Sigma female doesn't even have to try to offend people. Her mere existence rattles the fragile scaffolding of ego, control, and expectation. And the irony? She's not even trying to start a rebellion. She's not waving banners or shouting war cries. She's probably just sipping her coffee in peace while the world around her scrambles to label, contain, or dismiss her. The Sigma female doesn't play by the rules of likability, and that offends the very people addicted to approval. So buckle up, because we're about to pull back the curtain on the 20 deeply offensive things only Sigma females do. Some will make you laugh, some might sting, and some might make you question whether you've ever really understood the Sigma woman at all. Number 1. They're unapologetically selfish with their energy. Sigma females are unapologetically selfish with their energy, and that's one of the most offensive traits people can't seem to wrap their heads around. They don't hand out their time, attention, or emotional labor like free samples. Every interaction costs them something, and they treat that cost with the seriousness it deserves. Most people are used to women being endlessly available, endlessly giving, endlessly accommodating. The Sigma female refuses to play that role, and that refusal unsettles everyone who feels entitled to her presence. She knows energy isn't infinite. You can waste money and earn it back, but once her peace is drained, it can take days or even weeks to restore. That's why she treats her time and focus like a bank account with strict limits. She doesn't loan it out to people who drain her, and she certainly doesn't invest it in relationships or situations that give nothing back. This kind of sharp boundary feels offensive in a world where oversharing, overworking, and overcommitting are treated as signs of virtue. People often whisper that she's selfish because she says no, but in truth, she's simply aware of her value. The most infuriating part for others is that she doesn't defend this choice. She doesn't feel the need to explain why she turned down a party, ignored a call, or skipped a family obligation. While most people pile excuses to soften the blow, she doesn't offer any. That silence hits harder than rejection itself. It tells people she owes them nothing, not even an explanation. And in a culture where guilt is used as a leash, her refusal to wear it is deeply offensive. The beauty of her selfishness is that it's not reckless, it's intentional. She will pour her energy into passions, work, or people who genuinely matter to her, but she won't scatter it like crumbs for anyone to pick up. This is why, when she does give her time, it carries weight. People feel the difference because she's not performing out of obligation, she's present by choice. That kind of discipline, that refusal to be drained by demands and expectations, makes her powerful in ways others can't stand. While most people burn out chasing approval, she conserves her fire and burns brighter for it. To those who live off validation, nothing could be more offensive. Number 2. They never apologize for outgrowing you. When a Sigma female outgrows someone, she doesn't package it in soft words or sentimental goodbyes. She simply moves forward without looking back. And that's what makes it sting so much. Most people are conditioned to shrink themselves just enough to keep others comfortable, to stay at the same level so no one feels left behind. But the Sigma female refuses to carry dead weight. She knows growth demands sacrifice. And if that means leaving behind friendships, relationships, or environments that no longer serve her, then so be it. What offends people most is her lack of apology. She doesn't make you feel better about why she's outpacing you. She doesn't sugarcoat it with, "It's not you, it's me." She doesn't wrap it in a polite excuse. She just outgrows unapologetically and treats it as the most natural thing in the world. For her, evolution isn't optional, it's survival. And if you can't keep up, she isn't slowing down. That kind of detachment makes others feel exposed. When she moves on without regret, it highlights their own stagnation. It forces them to face the uncomfortable truth that maybe they've been standing still while she's been relentlessly pushing forward. People don't like mirrors that remind them of their own complacency, And the Sigma female is a walking, breathing reminder of what happens when someone refuses to stay small. It's not cruelty, though it's often mistaken as such. She doesn't leave because she hates you, and she doesn't grow because she wants to offend you. She grows because it's in her nature to keep evolving, to keep expanding, to keep chasing the next version of herself. She knows there's nothing noble about dimming her light so others can feel taller in the shadows. To her, that would be the real offense, betraying her own potential just to maintain someone else's comfort zone. This is why people label her cold or heartless when she outgrows them. But the truth is far simpler. She refuses to apologize for refusing to stay small. And if her growth feels like abandonment, that says more about where you are than about where she's going. For a Sigma female, evolution isn't up for debate, and your discomfort is not her responsibility. Number 3, they redefine support brutally. For a Sigma female, support doesn't mean empty applause or fake encouragement. She's not the type to clap just because you showed up. She claps when you actually do the work, when you push beyond your own limits, when you've earned it. Anything less feels like a lie to her, and lying, even in the name of being nice, goes against everything she stands for. That's why people so often mistake her honesty for cruelty. She won't celebrate mediocrity just to make you feel good. If your progress is nothing but recycled effort dressed up as ambition, she'll see right through it. And instead of clapping, she'll tell you the truth. You're coasting. That brutal honesty offends people who are addicted to validation. We live in a culture where participation trophies, sympathy claps, and good job comments are handed out like candy. Against that backdrop, her refusal to pretend becomes jarring, almost offensive. It's not that she doesn't want people to win, quite the opposite. She wants the people around her to rise, but she expects that rise to come from discipline, resilience, and substance. That's why her support feels rare but powerful. If she tells you she's proud of you, it carries weight, because you know she doesn't say it lightly. She won't inflate your ego, she'll sharpen it. What really unsettles people is that she refuses to play into collective delusion. She won't ooh and ah over someone who hasn't put in the work, and she won't echo the applause just to blend in with the crowd. She's not here to babysit fragile egos. She's here to tell the uncomfortable truth, even if that truth bruises feelings. And while most people call that unsupportive, in reality it's the highest form of respect. She respects you enough not to lie. The irony is that the same people who resent her for not clapping are the ones who secretly crave her approval. Why? Because deep down, they know she only gives it when it's real. When a Sigma female finally says, "You've done well," it means something. It's rare, it's authentic, and it's earned. But until you put in that level of effort, don't expect her to cheer. For her, fake support isn't kindness, it's betrayal. Number 4, they don't do second chances. When a Sigma female is finished with someone, there are no rewinds, no retrees, and no grand speeches about reconciliation. She doesn't do second chances because, in her mind, the first chance was already the opportunity to prove loyalty, respect, or honesty. If you broke that, you revealed who you are, and she believes people reveal their truth the first time. To her, giving someone a second chance isn't an act of kindness. It's an invitation for them to repeat the same mistake. What makes this offensive to others is the sheer finality of it. Most people are accustomed to cycles of forgiveness, to the idea that no matter how badly they mess up, they can talk their way back into someone's life. But the Sigma female doesn't operate on emotional credit. Once she writes you off, there's no interest, no repayment plan, no comeback. The door isn't just closed, it's locked, bolted, and bricked over. That level of decisiveness rattles people who thrive on second, third, and fourth chances. This doesn't mean she's cruel or vindictive. She doesn't hold grudges, and she doesn't waste her energy plotting revenge. Quite the opposite. She simply detaches. It's quiet, it's clean, and it's permanent. That silence feels heavier than any screaming match could, because it tells you she doesn't even care enough to argue. And that's the part that stings most. Her indifference. People often call her cold for this, but really it's self-respect. She understands that every time you reopen a door to someone who's already shown you their disregard, you pay with your peace, and she refuses to pay that price. The Sigma female values her peace too much to gamble it on someone who's already proven they can't be trusted with it. The offense, then, isn't just that she walks away. It's that she does so without hesitation, without apology, and without leaving breadcrumbs for a way back in. To her, trust is not something you rebuild. It's something you protect. And once it's gone for good. People who expect forgiveness on tap will always find her merciless, but she sees it differently. She isn't punishing anyone. She's protecting herself. Number 5. They redefine loyalty without attachment. For a Sigma female, loyalty is not about blind devotion or endless sacrifice. It's about showing up fully, standing by you when it matters, and giving her best without expecting a medal in return. But here's the part most people can't stomach. Her loyalty has limits, and those limits are carved in stone. She can care about you deeply, defend you when you're not in the room, and invest her energy into you. But the moment you cross a boundary or betray her trust, she can walk away without hesitation. That balance of fierce loyalty and ruthless detachment is what makes her so hard for others to understand. Most people equate loyalty with attachment. They think being loyal means clinging through betrayal, tolerating disrespect, or excusing repeated disappointments. They romanticize loyalty as suffering in silence, but a Sigma female rejects that narrative. To her, loyalty without self-respect isn't loyalty at all. It's enslavement. She will not chain herself to someone who chips away at her dignity, and she will not let anyone weaponize the word loyalty against her. What offends people is how cleanly she separates loyalty from attachment. She can be intensely present in your life, ride through storms with you, and make you feel like you have someone solid in your corner. Yet if you exploit that, she doesn't hesitate to cut ties. There's no dramatic breakdown, no long explanations, no back and forth. Her loyalty ends where her self-worth begins. That boundary offends clingy personalities who expect loyalty to mean unconditional tolerance. This approach forces people to see loyalty differently. It's not about how long someone sticks around. It's about how honestly they show up while they're there. With a Sigma female, you never doubt her devotion while you have it. It's pure, it's fierce, it's undeniable. But you also never doubt that if you break her trust, she won't drag herself through emotional mud just to keep you close. She doesn't confuse loyalty with chains, and she refuses to stay tied to someone who's shown they don't value the bond. To the insecure, this feels brutal. To her, it's just balance. You have her loyalty as long as you honor it. Cross the line and she won't scream or beg. She'll simply disappear. And in that silence, you'll realize the weight her loyalty carried all along. Number 6. They undress egos without words. A Sigma female doesn't need speeches or clever insults to dismantle someone's ego. Her silence does the work for her. One look, steady and unflinching, is often enough to strip away the armor people hide behind. While others rely on charisma, flattery, or dominance to hold power in a room, she wields something far sharper: presence. And that presence has a way of making people feel like their performance is under a microscope. It's not that she's trying to humiliate anyone, it's that she sees through the performance almost instantly. The bragging, the exaggerated confidence, the carefully polished persona, none of it survives under her gaze. She doesn't buy into the act, and worse, she doesn't react to it. That lack of reaction is what cuts deepest. When you're used to being admired, feared, or at least acknowledged, and she just stares through you as if none of it matters, it feels like standing naked in a crowded room. What unsettles people most is that she doesn't need to say a word. There's no confrontation, no dramatic call-out, no verbal sparring, just a look that says, "I see you, the real you, under all that noise." And in that moment, people feel exposed in ways they didn't consent to. It's like she holds up a mirror they weren't ready to face, one that reflects not their power, but their insecurity. This ability makes her both magnetic and intimidating. Those who are secure in themselves often respect it, even crave it, because they know she'll never be fooled by facades. But those who rely on ego to survive find her unbearable. To them, her silence isn't just silence. It's judgment, dismissal, and revelation all at once. And that's the offensive part. She doesn't tear down egos with insults. She does it by refusing to validate them. Her stare communicates everything. Your act doesn't impress me. Show me substance or show me nothing at all. In a world where egos thrive on constant feeding, the Sigma female starves them simply by existing. To those desperate for admiration, she's dangerous. To those addicted to pretending, she's devastating. And to herself, she's just being honest, without even opening her mouth. Number 7. They turn invitations into power moves. When a Sigma female receives an invitation, she doesn't treat it as a golden ticket to validation. She weighs it against her peace, her priorities, and her genuine interest. More often than not, the answer is no. And that no is where the offense begins. In a culture where saying yes is seen as proof of popularity and relevance, her refusal flips the script. She doesn't chase the stage others worship, and that rejection unsettles those who need the crowd to feel alive. Declining invitations is not about arrogance, it's about control. She chooses where her energy goes, and she doesn't waste it on rooms where the air feels fake or the conversations feel shallow. To her, being selective isn't antisocial, it's survival. But to those who thrive on numbers, on filling a room with as many faces as possible, her refusal feels like a personal insult. They interpret her absence as judgment, when in reality she simply values authenticity more than attendance. The deeper sting comes from what her rejection reveals. It exposes how many people go places not because they want to, but because they have to, for appearances, for clout, for fear of missing out. The Sigma female doesn't live by that fear. She understands something most won't admit. The room only has as much power as you give it. By declining, she strips the event, the host, and the crowd of the authority they thought they held over her. And when she does accept, it changes the dynamic instantly. Because her yes is rare, it carries weight. People notice. Her presence becomes meaningful precisely because she doesn't hand it out like candy. It feels deliberate, intentional, even powerful. Not because she tries to make it that way, but because scarcity creates value. This is why her choices offend. It's not just that she says no. It's that she says it without guilt, without long explanations, and without fear of being excluded. While others bend over backwards to stay visible, she proves visibility is optional. Her rejection reminds people that she doesn't need the social stage to validate her identity. And worse, it makes them wonder if maybe they don't either. That quiet defiance is why her absence can echo louder than most people's presence. Number 8. They treat authority like an optional suggestion. For a Sigma female, authority is not sacred. Titles, ranks, and badges don't automatically impress her, and she refuses to bow just because someone expects it. To her, respect is a currency earned through integrity, wisdom, and consistency, not something handed out by default. This makes her dangerous in environments built on hierarchy, where obedience is the glue holding everything together. While others obey without question to avoid conflict, she quietly evaluates whether the authority figure deserves her compliance in the first place. This refusal unsettles people because it flips the usual power dynamic. Most bosses, parents, or leaders are used to unquestioned loyalty simply because of their position. The Sigma female doesn't play that game. She'll listen, but she won't follow orders blindly. If your leadership doesn't align with her principles, she won't fake submission. Sometimes her resistance is subtle. A raised eyebrow, a delayed response, a silence that lingers too long. Other times, it's outright defiance. Either way, the message is the same. Your title doesn't guarantee my respect. What really offends authority figures is her lack of fear. They can't intimidate her with status or threats of exclusion. She knows her worth doesn't hinge on being accepted by the system, so she's unafraid to walk away from environments that demand blind obedience. That independence makes her nearly impossible to control. She can't be manipulated with praise or coerced with punishment, tools that work perfectly on most people. And it's not about rebellion for rebellion's sake. She's not reckless, nor does she disrespect authority just to make a point. What she does is far more unsettling. She evaluates authority case by case. If a boss is competent and fair, she'll give her full respect. If a parent shows wisdom and balance, she'll listen deeply. But if someone tries to hide incompetence behind a title, she won't play along. This selective loyalty is what makes her so disruptive. She exposes the cracks in authority that others ignore. To systems that depend on compliance, she's offensive because she's proof that respect can't be demanded, only earned. And to those who expect automatic submission, her quiet refusal is a shock. She isn't rebellious, she's sovereign, and sovereignty doesn't kneel. Number 9. They replace relationships with solitude and love it. A Sigma female doesn't fear being alone. She seeks it. While most people scramble to fill every moment with noise, chatter, and validation, she thrives in silence. Solitude is not a punishment or a symptom of loneliness for her. It's a sanctuary, a space where she can recharge, reflect, and expand without distraction. That kind of comfort in one's own company is rare, and it offends those who measure worth by social engagement. What makes this offensive is that she doesn't need anyone else to feel complete. She doesn't cling, beg, or compromise just to be part of a group. While others panic when left out or ignored, she walks her own path with calm confidence. People around her who rely on attention, approval, or constant interaction find her self-sufficiency unsettling. It's a silent reminder that their neediness is optional, that their validation isn't required, and that she doesn't exist to fill their emotional gaps. She also doesn't treat solitude as isolation. Instead, it's a tool. She uses it to process, strategize, and strengthen herself. While most people waste alone time scrolling or overthinking, she cultivates clarity and power. This ability to replace relationships with solitude isn't coldness, it's mastery, and that mastery can feel threatening. People are accustomed to defining connection as constant proximity, shared experiences, or social dependency. She defines connection on her own terms, and that difference makes others uncomfortable. Her enjoyment of solitude also gives her freedom to leave relationships that no longer serve her without guilt. She doesn't tolerate draining friendships, shallow romantic connections, or transactional bonds. If a relationship doesn't align with her energy, she walks away, and does so without drama. That kind of independence offends people who expect loyalty to be synonymous with endurance, or companionship to be inseparable from obligation. In short, her love for solitude is not a flaw or a void to fill. It's a declaration. She doesn't exist to soothe insecurities, perform social scripts, or validate anyone's worth. She exists for herself, and that unapologetic self-possession is what unsettles, insults, and even enrages those who can't comprehend living on their own terms. Number 10. They refuse to perform femininity on command. A Sigma female refuses to perform femininity as a social obligation. She doesn't dress, speak, or behave according to what anyone expects from her gender. If she wears heels, it's because she wants to, not to impress a roomful of strangers or to meet someone else's standard of elegance. If she wears sweats, it's because comfort or practicality suits her in that moment, not because she's letting herself go. Her choices are deliberate, rooted in her own desires, not a performance for validation or approval. This offends people because society has long conditioned women to mold themselves to fit expectations, to look, act, and behave in ways that soothe or flatter others. A Sigma female tears that script apart without even trying. She doesn't give instructions on how she should look, and she doesn't apologize when her appearance defies someone else's comfort zone. To those who rely on conventions to measure worth, that nonchalance is infuriating. What makes it truly disruptive is that she refuses to weaponize her femininity for influence, attention, or manipulation. Many women are pressured to leverage charm or beauty strategically, but she rejects that entirely. Her presence commands attention without calculated effort, and that independence from social choreography makes people uncomfortable. It's not that she's indifferent. It's that she refuses to commodify herself to satisfy anyone else. She also demonstrates that femininity is a personal language, not a societal script. She owns it on her terms, expressing it when it feels right, discarding it when it doesn't, and never letting anyone else dictate how or when she should be feminine. That kind of autonomy challenges the norms, and those invested in rigid definitions of womanhood find it offensive, even threatening. In short, she refuses to perform femininity on command because her identity doesn't exist for anyone else's comfort. She embodies it on her terms, and her disregard for expectation exposes how much of what society calls femininity is really just compliance disguised as grace. For anyone clinging to the idea that women must behave a certain way, she is a reminder that true power comes from choosing your own form of expression and never asking permission. Number 11. They outwork without competing. A Sigma female approaches work and mastery differently from almost everyone else. She doesn't chase recognition, leaderboard positions, or public applause. She doesn't compete for attention or validation. Instead, she focuses on the craft itself, dedicating hours, energy, and thought to improvement while others are distracted by showing off. While people are busy talking about how much they're doing, she is quietly doing. This offends those who thrive on competition, because her progress is invisible until it's undeniable. The room is filled with people measuring success by visibility, likes, or status, and she doesn't play by those rules. Her accomplishments aren't announced, they are revealed naturally when she reaches a level of expertise that others didn't even anticipate. And when she finally shows her results, it's not a performance, it's a statement. The competitors who spent their energy flexing suddenly look small, not because she wanted to humiliate them, but simply because she moved forward in a way they didn't understand. She understands that true mastery isn't about beating others, it's about transcending the need to compete. That mindset makes her exceptionally dangerous in any field, because she outpaces people without ever entering the arena of comparison. It also exposes the futility of performative hustle, making the flashy efforts of others look shallow by contrast. Her method is intentional. She knows that energy wasted on ego battles or superficial competition detracts from growth. So she invests in herself, in skills, knowledge, and discipline. That investment compounds quietly, invisibly, until the payoff arrives in a way that is both undeniable and humbling to anyone who underestimated her. The offense lies in the contrast. People who rely on attention and recognition for validation can't reconcile why someone who refuses to compete or boast can end up so far ahead. They interpret her silence and self-discipline as arrogance or coldness, when in reality, it's the ultimate form of power. To work relentlessly while the world underestimates you, and then reveal results that can't be ignored. Her approach proves one thing clearly. True dominance doesn't need an audience, and true success doesn't need a stage. And that reality makes those addicted to competition quietly, intensely uncomfortable. Number 12. They don't care who you think you are. A Sigma female doesn't assign value based on titles, status, or reputation. Being a CEO, a celebrity, or the loudest voice in the room doesn't impress her. She's not dazzled by wealth, clout, or the appearance of power. What matters to her is substance, energy, integrity, and depth. She sizes people up in moments, not by their resume, their social media following, or the narratives they tell about themselves. This dismissiveness is deeply offensive to those who rely on status as a shield. People spend lifetimes cultivating titles, accolades, or social dominance to feel significant, and she doesn't acknowledge those markers automatically. When a Sigma female refuses to treat someone as important because the world says they are, it strips away the comfort of assumed respect. That act alone can leave inflated egos raw, exposed, and questioning everything they believed about their own worth. She doesn't humiliate deliberately. She simply responds to the reality she observes. If someone's energy is shallow, their intentions hollow, or their depth non-existent, it shows. And she treats that truth with brutal honesty, sometimes silently, sometimes in pointed words. To the ego-driven, this is infuriating. They expect deference, and instead, they get evaluation. They expect admiration, and instead, they get reality. Her measure is rare because it's unflinching. She doesn't negotiate her perception based on pressure, influence, or intimidation. That makes her presence threatening to those addicted to hierarchy, applause, and social validation. She operates outside the usual games people play to feel important, which means her judgments, or lack thereof, carry weight that status-conscious people can't manipulate. In short, she doesn't care who you think you are because she sees who you truly are. That truth cuts deeper than any insult, because it bypasses ego entirely. To a Sigma female, power and respect must be earned through substance, not assumed through labels. And that reality offends anyone whose sense of self is built on being seen rather than being understood. Sigma females are not made to fit neatly into the boxes society hands out. They refuse to dim themselves, perform for approval, or adhere to rules that demand blind obedience. They outwork without fanfare, speak without words, and hold their energy like a fortress no one is entitled to enter. Their loyalty is measured, their boundaries absolute, and their presence impossible to manipulate. To the unprepared, they are offensive, unsettling, even intimidating, not because they seek conflict, but because they live on terms so radically their own that everyone else's expectations crumble around them. What makes them extraordinary is the clarity and fearlessness with which they navigate life. They don't apologize for outgrowing you, don't offer second chances to those who betray trust, and refuse to perform femininity, authority, or social norms on demand. They thrive in solitude, redefine support brutally, and choose every connection carefully, proving that their time and attention are priceless commodities. To witness a Sigma female in action is to witness someone who has mastered the art of sovereignty, unapologetically wielding her independence as both shield and statement. And here's the kicker: her offensiveness is never calculated. It's a natural byproduct of a woman who refuses to compromise her essence. Those who are comfortable with mediocrity, cling to validation, or hide behind ego feel it most. Those who are strong, self-aware, and disciplined recognize it as awe-inspiring power. She doesn't conform, she doesn't perform, and she doesn't seek permission. And that is why she is, without exaggeration, one of the most disruptive, magnetic, and unforgettable presences anyone will ever encounter. So, if you've been challenged, unsettled, or even offended reading about these traits, consider it a mirror, a reflection of how rarely the world truly sees women like her, and how uncomfortable it is to encounter someone whose strength, independence, and clarity refuse to bend. Sigma females aren't here to please, to perform, or to fit in. They're here to live fully, powerfully, and unapologetically, and the world reacts accordingly. If you found this insight into the Sigma female as fascinating as it is eye-opening, don't just scroll past, show your support. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss content that challenges the ordinary and celebrates the extraordinary. Smash the like button if this resonated with you. Drop a comment to share your thoughts or experiences, and share this video with anyone who needs to see the power, independence, and unapologetic energy of a Sigma female in action. Your engagement helps us keep bringing content that's raw, honest, and unmissable. Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, real power doesn't wait for permission.